21st century business concept is all explained in this chapter. Business has become a process and it is one of the economic activity. So e-business is defined as the conduct of industry, trade. Now in e-business we have different types of e-business. We have the classification. It's a 2 marks question as well as a 4 mark question. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Vidhyaashram from the Department of Business Studies in Vidhyaashram PUC College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to the next chapter, the new session, and I'll tell you, this chapter will tell you what exactly the business are happening around you. The 21st century business concept is all explained in this chapter. The chapter name is Emerging Modes of Business. In this chapter, you will understand what exactly emerging mode means. Now, emerging in the sense something which is changing. The business from the nomadic life till now, if you understand, business always changes. It may be the barter system or it may be the traditional system. Now you have something called the business is emerging in all the ways, and this is how the business is carried now. Emerging in the sense change. Now constantly it is changing, and that too for what? A change for something called a good. Now understand, business nowadays, I'll tell you what exactly it is. It is not just buying and selling of goods and services. Business has become a process and it is one of the economic activity, and I'll tell you it is an economic activity. And here what exactly happens is, the way business is done has undergone fundamental changes during the last decades, if you understand these. Now I'll give you a thing what exactly it is. First you need to understand the word business and its activity, right? Activity of business. Now if you understand the business activity, you will get to know that there are two types of activity. One we call it as industry, where manufacturing takes place, industry, and then we have something called commerce, right? Commerce. Now if you understand this concept of industry and commerce, again, industry in the decades it has changed. Now we have primary and secondary. We have one more called tertiary, which gives support to primary and secondary. Then we have in commerce we have something called trade, and then we have auxiliary to trade. Auxiliary to trade. Now understand, everywhere there is some changes. Now the way industry was before industrial revolution, humans were more and they used to work, and then they used to actually manufacture many products. Now what has happened in the way of course of action, what has happened in industry is humans are replaced by machine, and now what has happened, optimum utilization of resources they are actually thinking, and then they are mobilizing all the products to all the other countries. That means what? Now they are spreading their territory. Again, business is changing. Now commerce, if you understand, we have something called trade and auxiliary to trade. Nowadays auxiliary to trade is more. That means services are 60% and what they go for it is only 40%. That means what? Now the change is constant. Change is the only thing which is constant. Now the manner of conducting business is referred to as the mode of business. The mode of business means what? The way they go with business is called as mode of business. And here if you understand the prefix, that is emerging, underline that, that is the fact that these changes are happening. These changes are happening here and now, and that these trends are likely to continue. That means what? See, right now we are in 2020. Let's go with 2020 concept. Okay, how business is happening. It will not be the same when we reach 2022. That means what? This is what is called the emerging. Emerging in the sense from here it will go. Now understand the statistics of business. The business, the way it is happening is always what? It goes high. If you compare whether it is a sale, it is a production, it is a manufacturing thing, you go with price or anything, what has happened is business will always change, and it is what? The way of business, that is the mode of doing a business will also change. So this is what the chapter is. The chapter is all about what is going to happen to business after so many years. And I'll tell you what it is. Change is the only thing which is constant, and definitely in a business, you will have all the changes for the betterment of the business. So we'll go with the first thing is called e-business. You all know what e-business is all about. And e-business, that means you have something called commerce, you have trade, you have business. All those are happening through computer networks, and that is called as e-business. Now we have something called in mobile business also has come, and there are so many things which is happening in the day-to-day life where you are easily able to access the product. The manufacturer can meet the consumer can meet the manufacturer without any problem and without any delay. So e-business is defined as the conduct of industry, trade and commerce using the computer networks. That means all internet kind of a process happens. That is all called e-business. Now in e-business, we have different types of e-business. We have the classification, that is the scope of e-business. You need to understand e-business properly here. E-business. Okay. Now here what has happened, e-business, you need to understand there are criteria to go with it. The first scope is B2B. That means the business will go with business to business. Business to business. Then we have B2C, that means business to consumer, or you can say customer, business to customer, business to consumer. Then you have something called Intra B Commerce. Right now, intra in the sense within the business is what we call it as intra, that is business happening within the business. Right. Next we have something called C2C, that is consumer to consumer or customer to customer commerce. Now these are the four scopes which you can actually see, and that is what it will give you a trending situation, how business is happening within the businesses. Now we have the first one called B2B. Now business is giving business to another business. That means there are two companies involved. A company is selling something to another company. A company is buying from some other company. We call it as business to business. This is called B2B. Now B2C means what? Usually business in the sense the people who are selling something, the companies are there, the corporate are there, they are selling it to the final consumer, that is we people. So here business to consumer. Then we have something called Intra B Commerce. Now Intra B Commerce in the sense one single unit, that is one business entity, they are selling or they are buying within the company, within themselves, when they are doing any commerce things, that we call it as Intra B Commerce. And the last one is consumer to consumer. Now that means he is not a person who is doing it regularly, he is selling it to one more person who is in a need, and we call it as C2C, consumer to consumer. Now these things, if you understand, I'll be giving you a few examples. Where B2B, I'll always go with one of the example called Maruti and Hyundai and Fiat. So these are the companies, what exactly they go with. They go with B2B commerce. And then we have B2C, all the things, all the online shopping. When we go for it, we always go with B2C, and that is your online shopping. Then Intra B Commerce in the sense, I always take this example of Nestle, that is Nestle has too many branches and Nestle have the business within the Nestle branches. We call it as Intra B Commerce. And the lastly we have consumer, that you are supposed to understand because you have already done it. OLX is there, consumer meets the other consumer, right? So what has happened is you have OLX and you have so many other applications, so many other apps, website where a consumer will meet another consumer. That is what happens in the C2C. So let's check one by one what exactly happens in these business, because it's a 2 marks question as well as a 4 mark question. This 2 mark question can be what is B2B, what is B2C, what is C2C, and what is Intra B. Usually the Intra B you will actually get it for 1 mark, And then if it is for 4 marks, the 4-mark question will be what are the scope of e-business, and you are supposed to write all the 4 points and then start explaining all the 4 points. So the first one is B2B. Now what happens in B2B is here both the parties, now understand, both the party, whenever you go with it, there should be what, minimum 2 people. Now here there are 2, again one company, here also a company. So business to business, company is dealing with another company, we call that as business to business. A business entity dealing with another business entity also is called business to business. Now the party involved in e-commerce transactions are business firm, hence the name B2B, that is business to business, has come. Understand the concept here. Now we have a company called Maruti. Now Maruti Suzuki, you all know, right? Maruti we have, and we have a company called Fiat. Now understand this combination. Maruti, they were never into producing engines. Now understand, they will never manufacture any engines. And when they will not manufacture engines, how is that the Maruti cars get engines from? You will be surprised that Fiat company is a company which manufactures engines for Maruti. And then what happens is, this is what it is. Fiat is giving their engines to Maruti. Engines, right? And Maruti is actually taking the engines from Fiat. So what is the type of business? The mode of business is what? Fiat, they are the people who are selling the engines to Maruti, and Maruti people are buying engines from Fiat. So this is called business to business. One more example I'll give you here. Now to manufacture a car, you know what exactly it's required, right? You also require nut, bolt, screw. All those things are a need, right? But Maruti people will not manufacture screw, nut, bolt, all those things. So what is that they'll do? They'll actually buy from some other company. So again, here is what is happening is the same kind of concept, that is business to business. One more example, if I need to give it to you, you will be understanding this. MRF. Now, let's go with MRF, right? MRF. Now, MRF is a company which is Indian company. We call that as Madras Rubber Factory. I know that many of you did not even know that MRF means what? MRF means Madras Rubber Factory. In Tamil Nadu, it is there. Madras Rubber Factory, they are the one who actually manufacture tires, right? They go with tires. And what it is, they also buy from some other company. What is that they buy? They can buy anything which helps them to actually manufacture tires. So understand, all the companies, say Maruti or it's Fiat, they buy tires from MRF. That means what has happened, if you want to actually have a car, you are supposed to have tires also. So that is what Maruti is buying something from MRF. So business to business. Here consumer has not yet come, because in B2B there is no consumer. Here what happens is a company will have a transaction, that to a e-commerce transaction with the business entity only. That is called as B2B. Next, to reduce a dependency on a single supplier, the automobile factories have cultivated more than one vendor for each of the component. The same way, see, Maruti are actually buying from MRF, but still I'll tell you, Maruti will also buy tires from some other company, because consumers or the customers, when Maruti wants to sell it to the consumer or the customers, what happens is, there are a few customers who are against MRF. There are a few customers who really want only MRF. So what exactly happens is, they'll always have alternatives, because they can't depend upon only a single person, that is a single vendor. So this is what is called B2B. Next one we have is something called B2c Commerce. Now B2c is a very common term. You people have done all these things in these years. Now what is B2c is, as the name implies, what is it? Business to customers, business to consumers. Transactions have business firms at one end. That means what will happen is, here you will have a company or a business firm. Now they are actually giving it to a customer or consumer. So that is what will happen here. And what exactly it is, the transaction will happen where one end will be the customer and the other end will be the business. So we have customers also, and then we have business also. Although what comes to one's mind instantly is online shopping. You people have done the online shopping. You would have gone to Flipkart, Amazon, or Nika. All these shopping sites you would have gone, and this is what is called B2C commerce. It is very, very common, and usually what happens is all the customers, all the consumers, they go for the shopping here. Majority will happen here itself. Next one is Intra B Commerce. Now the term intra, please understand, while you are in your school or your college, what used to happen is there is always a game called intra class competition, intra school competition, intra house competition. What is that intra? Intra means within. What is intra? Intra means within. So within the business, whatever the commerce is taken place, distribution, commerce is taken place, that we call it as Intra B Commerce. Now here parties involved. Who are the parties involved? Understand, in the electronic transactions are from within. That means now there is a business entity, right? Go for this example. Let's check the statement, what exactly it is. We will understand from that. Within a given business firm, hence the name Intra B Commerce. That means now we have a company called Nestle, right? Now we have Nestle. Now Nestle will actually do the business within Nestle. We call that as Intra B Commerce. So within intra, in the sense within ourselves. So the thing only they are supposed to do with them. If they do it from somebody else, that becomes some other kind of a commerce. But here what is intra? Within them, if they go for the business, then we call it as Intra B Commerce. It is largely due to the use of Intra B Commerce that today it has become possible for the firm to go for a flexible manufacturing. Now understand this, whatever Nestle wanted from Nestle, what is it? The feedback they'll get properly. That is how the things should be. And everything will be what? Flexible. Everything is what? Flexible. And they'll understand what are their strength and what are their weakness only when they only go with transactions. So this is called Intra B Commerce. So what is Intra B Commerce? Intra B Commerce means within the single firm, the transaction which happens electronically, we call it as the Intra B Commerce. Next we have a C2C commerce, consumer to consumer or customer to customer. Now what exactly this customer to customer is all about? Here the business originates from the consumer and the ultimate destination is also who? The consumer. Thus the name C2C commerce. This type of commerce is best suitable for dealing in goods for which there is no established market mechanism. So what happens is it's very simple, where a consumer will meet another consumer, and what happens is there will be a business, that is buying and selling process will happen. Now what is that you are supposed to understand is there you don't have a platform, but now people, again, emerging modes. That means there is a change, right? There is a change in the business. Now you need to create a platform. Now how will you create a platform? You'll create a platform through a window. Now again, the window is what? Now you have example, I told you that OLX is a window. Now here what happens is the buyer and the seller, both of them, they'll meet, they'll have a transaction, and that is called C2C commerce. See, the business originates from the consumer, that is the buyer and the seller is there. So seller would have already purchased from the company. So he would have purchased it. Now he has used it. Now whatever the second hand, we call it as second hand goods are there, that will actually go in the OLX. Now here the seller, what happens is he is done with the product. Now he wants to sell it off for a cheaper rate. Now what happens, there is a buyer who don't have money to buy the company product. Now he only goes for the discount product. Now he will meet that seller and the seller will meet the buyer, and that is how the consumer to consumer commerce will happen electronically. Again, e-commerce, all the transactions should happen electronically. So we call this as C2C commerce. And then we have benefits of e-business. So you can actually write down the benefits of e-business. You can think that what all are the benefits of e-business, but let me tell you, benefits are there, that means limitations are also there. There is nothing called as only a boon or nothing called as only a bane. If you have a boon, you will have a bane. If you have a bane, you will have a definitely you will have a boon. So benefits of e-commerce or the e-business. Understand the term e-commerce and e-business. E-commerce and e-business, both are not same. In e-business, you have e-commerce as a part. So e-business is, if you consider e-business is a universe, now you have a galaxy that is called as e-commerce. So that is how the things happens. Now e-business, one is easy of formation and lower investment. Understand, the way traditional business happen, you are supposed to have a land, fixed shop, you should go with the installation of so many things and then you will go with it. But here what it is, very easy to form. Next is convenience. Now e-business can happen 24/7. 24/7. Even if it is a holiday also, e-business will be running. Next you have speed. Understand the speed. Traditionally, if I need to go to Tamil Nadu and then buy the product, then come back, I'll tell you, every time I cannot spend my money as well as my time to go to different places to go and buy as a traditional shopping. But if I go with e-business, what happens is the minute it's just a one click away. The minute I click, I buy it. If I click, I sell it. So e-business is very speedy. Next is global reach and access. Yes, I only gave you an example of Tamil Nadu or any other places. I'll tell you, if I want to buy something called Zara product, I don't need to go to Switzerland and then buy. So I can go to the e-business and I can order Zara product which is in Switzerland, and then they can actually deliver it to my doorstep. Understand, this is what globally I can access it. There are many people who don't even know what is being manufactured by Raymond or Wipro or any other company. The thing is, e-business, you will understand everything, what are the products, everything. You will have a category and then you can buy them as well as you can reject the orders. Next is movement towards a paperless society. Yes, this is what you are supposed to understand. E-business happens for a reason. What is the things it is? Always understand, we need to think about the globe at large. We need to think about the environment at large. When we go with e-business, what happens is now paperless society, in the sense what? Now, if there are paperless society, then what happens is the trees are saved. The trees are saved, again, environmental benefits. So all these businesses happen for a cause. Now understand this. I told you about the benefit, but still I'll tell you there are the limitations. If the hacker comes and every transaction happens online, what will happen? So I'll tell you again that for that also there is something called a trend, that is a mode of emerging trends. What is that mode of emerging trends? You will have anti-theft, anti-see. That means again some other business is happening, right? Only because of the demerits, to make it merit, what is that? Again, business will emerge, and that is how the business will go, because business is eternal, perpetual succession. Men may die, but business will remain. That is what the beauty of business is. And the minute e-business has come, I'll tell you, these are the benefits which the customer as well as the manufacturer are getting benefited. And if you have any doubt, students, you know what exactly you're supposed to do. Abhilash sir is always there to help you, and Vidhyaashram is the only college which does everything for the students for free. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.